Alright, she's gone. We can continue on. Physical lightning. Cain is first. And Cain is currently known as a lightning dive bot. And doesn't really do a good job of it anymore because the way in which he uses lightning dive is basically with a glorified super soul break called his burst soul break. But that things change. Cain gets 2 more soul breaks. And the first one we're going to take a look at is he is the lightning physical chain. And his additional effect is instead of having an effect at all, he actually just does more attacks. So, and that has the added effect of having about 10% more added to the chain in comparison to other chains. So this is obviously sets him in a tier apart right off the bat by having the chain. And then we'll continue on and look at his USB, which is actually pretty damn good by itself. So he's very similar to Reno. Have a good night, Shad. If there's a flaw with Cain, and it is a flaw, it is once he uses the chain and gets that 22% rocking, so it's actually pretty high when you add in the lightning chain 20% field effect as well, is that he doesn't really quickly do lightning damage after that. Unless you entrust him, and he also has, if he also has his USB to go along with it. So let's talk about the USB. 10 single range jump attacks, attack and defense plus 30% to the user, and grants attached lightning and jump instant cast. Don't have to go into what jump instant cast is because it just makes jumps instant cast. It doesn't make them instant jump time, but it does remove the cast timer, which is more impactful than removing jump time. If you have both chain and USB, he's absolutely off the wall bonkers. We have one that's currently being developed here. I'll update just to make sure you're getting it. Thank you for the follow, Divine Heresy. He's fine with the chain by itself, and because it's a chain, he's already one of the best lightning damage team members in the game. But if you have his chain and his USB, he can be everything in one. So he's an easy S, I believe, just with those two things. An instant jump cast, obviously use this as lightning dive. Attached lightning dive is very powerful. Attack defense plus 30%, really nice. So let's look at his legend materia. So this is good. Dragoon abilities deal 25% more damage when equipping a spear. That's okay. His USB is a 6-star lightning spear, all realms, so that's good. So it's fine that is locked to having doing spear damage. If there's a question here, it'd probably be on his LM2. Attack plus 2% for each hit dealt with jump attacks. Mostly the problem that we have with iteration stuff is if you have his chain, then you're dealing 22 hits, and 22 hits will count for quite a bit. 44% attack, and since I do like Reffy is 50% attack that she gets from her LM2. That pumps up his damage output quite a bit. It's not as good as a 35% chance to dual cast, but that's okay. It's good enough. It's kind of like the Reno thing, where she gets quick cast 3 for 30%, whatever. It's a good dive, but not one of the higher tier dives. That's all he needed, really. It's just something that was solid to go along with his USB and CSP. It's just, that's how powerful the chains are. It's kind of unfair, now that we're getting into, the different elements and how highly we have to rate the people that have the chains. But that's such as it is. They're that powerful. Edge. Edge. Really? There's no real reason for Edge to be here. I suppose there is. We'll take a look at it. So Edge's USB is water and lightning damage, and grants chaotic moon to the user. So instead of using the 5-star physical abilities with him, you would use the lightning ninja ability instead, which is unfortunately is just a 3-star ability. It does cast quickly and is going to do damage. So he belongs on the list because you do lightning damage with his USB. Then you use the lightning ninja ability, which triggers his chase, which does lightning damage itself. If there's a problem here, is the chase doesn't do anything if he doesn't have any blink, and there's no ninja abilities he can use that'll give him blink that do lightning damage. So you're forced to use the water ability to give him blink, which will chase and deal a little bit of lightning damage. It doesn't work well. Right, trying very hard to make it a thing. It doesn't really work that well. We're going to probably place him in B for now. But that's probably going to drop to a C. We'll see how it ends up. Cloud, A as usual. Reno. Yeah, it's just because it's early some hetero. It's probably dropping to C. Reno's actually really good. Not only is he really good, but he's hybrid. True hybrid, like Vincent. Yes, Asherlock. His Super Soul Break is a special consideration. Oh yeah, that's... Not only his Super, but his Legend Dive as well. Dual casting ninjas, Edge, Shadow, and Yuffie. So I will talk about those when I get to that. Alright, Reno. So Reno gets a USB in this coming Final Fantasy VII event. 10 single hybrid ranged attacks, and grants attack and defense, or magic and defense, plus 30% depending on which of his higher offensive statistic is. Grants him attach lightning, quick cast 1, and lightning quick cycle. So it's just a quick cast version of lightning's USB. That's just really good. Gonna give him A for now, and we'll see how A and S flesh out, and we'll see if he's worthy of going up. He's not gonna go down. This is a fantastic USB, but he may go up. And I mean, something of note, and why I would consider him for S is because machinists, which Reno is, have a very, very potent 5-star ability. In Tempest's Night. Laguna showed up on ice and is pretty damn good at dealing ice damage. Not as good as lightning at lightning damage, but he's still actually quite good because he's got a BSB for it. His BSB, and no, I'm not going to bother talking about his other stuff because it's completely ice based. His BSB is lightning non-elemental, random, Imperil Lightning, and grants haste and burst mode to the user. What makes Laguna's BSB so good, even though it's just Imperil, is that he has a command 1 that grants him Machinist Instant Cast 2 to the user. So he's able to Imperil, and then uses command 1, and then use 2 or 1 instant Tempest Snipe, and then probably instant cast this again, then instant Tempest Snipe, and then just, you know, go back and forth instant casting every single turn. And probably close out with using 2 instant Tempest Snipes. Because this will not apply to his Soul Break cast. So then he casts it again, you know, so on and so on. That you go. That's what makes Laguna so good at dealing lightning damage. And remember, something that benefited Laguna very well for his ice evaluation is that he has a 35% chance to dual cast Machinist abilities. So he can use that Tempest Snipe to, you know, great effect. And he would definitely use his LM1 in conjunction, because there's no sense for him to Imperil Ice a boss that you're probably going to be already vulnerable to lightning and further making it vulnerable to lightning. Laguna gets A. It is really that good of a BSB combined with a fantastic Legend Dive. Wouldn't you want to use Spark Offering? Absolutely not, because Spark Offering is just an awful ability. Next up, we're Rajan. Rajan's a weirdo. They try to make him a lightning damage dealer, but he's kind of a gimmick. And I personally don't believe it works. So Rajan's BSB gives him a haste, attached lightning, and burst mode to the user. And we have to take a look at the commands. Right, the offering is for DNA offering us major orbs. Yeah, Super Soul Break is great, but it has nothing to do with being a lightning damage dealer. I should probably add him to the talk. With Noctis and Umaro. Well, anyway, with Rajan's Burst Soul Break, he has an iteration command that gets really, really, really big if you keep on using it, and it carries over BSB casts. So you keep on using his command 1, and the more you use it, he keeps on stacking and stacking and stacking and stacking. And if you keep on stacking it to its max level, then it becomes like its own UOSB over 10 attacks. The problem with the multipliers is it's too big. It's too big to be contained within 10 normal damage cap breaking attacks. So it caps out at 100,000 damage. over, and it takes a long time to charge something like this up. So 100,000 damage is actually not that much when you consider how much time you're putting into it. It is a gimmick because what's cool about it is you can combine it with Cloud's USB and just get some obscene numbers rolling across the screen. But other than that, it's not that practical anymore. So what we talk about when we think of OSBs is if the character is good, then the OSB becomes good. But the character doesn't really deal that great lightning damage, so the OSB isn't that good. Rajan's strength is his super soul break, which is grant instant cast 1 last stand and high regen to party. And I'll talk about that later, but it doesn't really have much to do with his lightning damage potential. Because he's a monk, he can't use any lightning damage abilities. So it's not like he could use his super on a lightning team and do lightning. It's just his super is all group. So we got to put Rajan in C, unfortunately. Steiner is going to get B again, right? Yeah. Now Rex is a weird guy. Is a weird one. More often than not, we look at the characters that we add to these, physical or magical lists and say, the more damage that you can do of that element, the better. But Rex deals his damage in different ways. Rex is a support character that is specifically keyed towards the lightning element, and that's why he's here. He may just be an S tier character. I'll ask everyone about that and see how they feel about that. But for lightning only, when it comes to being a buffing support, he's less than that. So Rex gets a USB in very recent time JP. That grants haste, lightning radiant shield 75% and attack plus 50% to the party. And Rex is also a 5-star spellblade, so he does have something that he can do after he uses this USB to assist the party in dealing damage. Dirge, if a multi-elemental character does all abilities that say B, would you say they are a good all-around character? Or are they just a jack of all trades and master of none type thing? Probably the latter. Like in Steiner's case, I think he's a good. What we talked about those characters. I mean, and because we just went over Steiner, I'll devote a little time for this. Steiner is that character. I think he's a good beginner character. He's a good when you first started the game and you haven't had the chance to flesh out, A and S type characters within those elements. Steiner is good with a lot of his a few of his soul breaks because he can fill those holes on multiple teams that you haven't been able to, implant really good people on. So he's good for that. But as the more veteran, the more time that you put into the game, and the more you're able to roll on the gacha, the more decisions you make towards fulfilling your needs and filling holes, then it removes the value of characters like Steiner. So that's why I would say jack of all trades and master of none. Yeah. Vivi is a master of all trades. So yeah, lightning radiant shields, Shoku Shuko. It's radiant shield. It returns all damage that you receive. All damage, not just lightning damage, not of any specific element. All damage that you receive is returned to the boss. But instead of being as a neutral element like Radiant Shield usually is, it's as lightning damage. So, though it may be 75%, if it's hitting vulnerability, which it can now, then that has a potential of, depending on how deep the vulnerability is, it has a potential of, increasing it over 100%. So a 50% vulnerability would bring this over 100%. And I think the true value of this Radiant Shield is if you're imperiling the boss and you're able to increase your damage, imperiling the boss up to, full vulnerability, which would mean all damage dealt to you gets returned to the boss at 150%, which is huge. Huge. And the reason why I propose Rex as being S tier is I can't, it's hard. It's hard because there are a lot of really good supports in this game that also do haste and attack plus 50%. Onion Knight and Ramza. That you could use instead that would be either as effective as Lightning Radiant Shield 75% or more effective, and also have things that they can do besides, just Rex's ability to use, Thundering Quad Strike. So I'm feeling A. Is Legend Dive good? That's a good question. I don't know why I forget to do the Legend Dive sometimes. Or try, evaluating a character before I talk about that. So it does have a 35% chance to dual cast Spellblade. Ooh. Wow. This LMR is actually really interesting. 25% chance to cast an ability that restores HP for 40% of the target's maximum HP after using a Spellblade ability. So he can passively heal the party. But only a 25% chance. It's probably more interesting sounding than it really is effective. Yeah, I think Rex is... I'll probably note that Rex will be S if you have Cain's Lightning Chain. Because Radiant Shield's ticks affect the Lightning Chain. Which means every time your party gets hit by an area of effect, that's 5 passive ticks on the Lightning Chain. It is a fun LMR. I like it. I wish they did more LMRs like this. Instead of going back to a lot of the bases. So I'm going to give him A, and then, when I talk, or jot down notes about the character and why they received an A, then I'll note that he becomes pretty much unlocked with the Lightning Chain, one of the Lightning Chains on the team. No, Lightning Chain. There's no reason to use Shantoto's Lightning Chain and Rex giving an attack plus 50% and haste buff to the party. That's just that's confusing priorities. Lightning. Lightning is lightning. Yeah. No, Shulk, though she does lightning damage, she's definitely a debuffing support. I mean, beyond her entrusting capability. Yeah, I mean, what can I say? We'll start with the Legend Dive. Haste Instant Cast 3 is one of the best LM2s in the game, plus a 25% chance to dual cast Spellblade abilities. Or, no, just dual cast abilities that deal lightning damage, which is Spellblade abilities for her. So Lightning is one of those other people that get a UOSB and a Flash Tech. I went over Sarah's USB recently and talked about how similar they were to each other, and they are. She gets Attached Lightning, X Blinding, and High Quick Cast 1. X Blinding gives her plus 30% attack, and she gets granted High Quick Cast every time she uses a lightning attack, including Soul Breaks. Yeah, she's just an easy S. Really easy. Breezes in. She's lightning tier. I don't know if she's quite Terra, what Terra is to fire, but she's damn close. Prompto. Prompto's USB. 10 random, causes Imperil Lightning, grants Quick Cast 1 and Machinist Quick Cycle. It's very simple. You just use Tempest Snipe with it and hammer away until you use it again. And that's unfortunately Machinist Quick Cycle and not Lightning Quick Cycle. Which means that when you recast his USB, then you will lose... Oh, no you won't, because it grants Quick Cast 1 when you use it. So never mind. I looked at his BSB, and it's not that big of a deal. It's mostly debuffing, and he gets like Machinist Quick Cast, which is not Laguna's Lightning or Machinist Instant Cast, which is totally sweet. Yeah, it's Machinist Quick Cast too. He's definitely more of a debuffer, but he can be a very competent lightning damage dealer because of this USB. Debuffer BSB, damage dealer USB, and I would say that Quick Cast and Imperil Lightning is enough to put him in A. Firmly in A. Oh, and again, missed the Legend Materia. He has a 25% chance to dual cast Machinist abilities with his LMR, and 30% chance to minor Imperil Lightning to the target after using Machinist ability on an enemy. So, it really just emphasizes that Imperil Lightning is just a really good lightning character with his USB. Definitely not good enough to break into S, but firmly in A. Next up is Aranea. And hello, Don. Aranea is defined by her BSB, which is 8 single range jump attacks, grants haste, attached lightning, and burst mode to the user. It's fine. I believe the commands aren't bad. Grants no airtime. Well, that is actually bad. And 4 single and Dragoon 9% boost. 9%. It's such a weird percentage. I would much prefer the 15 that other people get, obviously. So it's kind of like Cain before his CSB USB explosion. Or like just a lightning dive bot. We're gonna throw him B. Even with having an OSB, the BSB is what she does over the course of a battle, and it's just not good enough. She does have a legend dive, but her LM2 is definitely not good enough. And her LMR is good, but it's definitely B tier stuff. Delita gets B again, as he will for every, because he doesn't do anything particularly well. Orlando is Orlando tier. Oh god. Orlando's OSB, which is also a USB in one, is just that. He just OSBs over and over and over again. And that's unfortunately boring as hell, but good enough to do an insane amount of damage. Yeah. He definitely does other elements better, as crazy as that sounds. But Orlando, and the fact that he gets granted haste and Instacast 3 at the start of the fight, means he can pair up his LM1 and LM2 to just be a simple OSB bot that just does a ton of damage. And it's sad that it's been so good for so long, but it's S. Just hammering away again and again with a 15.0 multiplier, while in you know, Thunder God mode is just stupid. Infinite haste is the dumbest gimmick. No, you can slow him. It just has an infinite duration. That's why if you couldn't slow him, then it would be friggin' sweet. But it's an infinite duration, but it can still be interrupted. Right. I don't get it. Anyway, Queen, type 0. Queen immediately starts the game with a USB, which is nice. 10 single attacks, attack and defense plus 30% to the user, and grants attached lightning and spellblade quick cast. So she's like Reno. It's just good. This is good enough for A right off the bat. Queen's BSB it doesn't know the cast time. She was a very nimble character in Type 0, so I wonder if that question mark means that it might be instant. Is there anybody know? Anyway, the BSB grants critical chance 50% to all allies, huh? What's the commands? I mean, I think she's A, but might as well explore the character and see. Spellblade 50% boost and Dark Bargain. Very typical modern BSB at this point. Paranoid, I totally agree. Queen is so much fun to play in the game. Like, her combat is just... love the character. Love the character. One of my favorite. She gets a trance. And a 25% chance to dual cast abilities. This trance, if it's good enough, I hope it's good. It may make her S, because some trances are so good. Wow. Alright. Attack plus 50%. Resistance minus 50%. And a cast speed times 2. Wow. She gets a global quick cast to go along with the quick cast from her USB. And gets dual cast lightning abilities on her LMR. It's actually S. Huh. It does make her squishy. That's true. I would also, well, yeah, I think everyone would prefer cast speed times 3. But dual cast speed buffs is pretty awesome. Queen, well, there are going to be 2 Type 0 banners. And Queen's USB is on the second one. Blissfully away from Machina. But I don't like either of the banners in the event. Resistance minus 50% is kind of an issue. So, I mean, let me put it this way. She does have the 25% chance to dual cast. Oh no, definitely not Queen stuff on the renewal banners. With this cast speed buff, with her trance, which is 25 seconds, and the cast speed buff from her USB, she would attack faster than a USB lightning. I know how all you like that, right? So she would be more powerful than lightning. But I suppose the only issue here is that does it... that resistance my 50% is issue. Is an issue. Here we go. Here we go. I got an idea. Kraken. How much magic do you use? Special. Savage Water Gun. This is interesting. If this is the primary damage source from Kraken, what's crazy is that piercing attacks will not obey the resistance debuff. It will use her base resistance before she received the debuff. So are we just looking at Waterga? For area of effect. Single target I can tolerate. Piercing. It's just Waterga, but it looks like he has a high percentage in each phase to use the area of effect Waterga. He only has regular amounts of phases. The other AI tables are for depending on how many tentacles are dead. It is risky. Because there is a pretty decent amount of single target magic in this fight too. So even though, you know, I'm more tolerant of single target magic, if there's a lot of it, then obviously just going to get hit eventually. And this is NAT, so it's not tauntable or anything. Queen, why are you going to be so weird? Couldn't have been 30%? 30% I easily just would have thrown you an S. But 50% is scary. That's so scary. I think I'm gonna have to put her in A. She's too risky. Because if you don't use her trance, then she's just an A tier character. You think S is still okay? Well, right. Well, let's do this, since she's the last character in Physical Lightning. We have Prompto. She's better than Prompto. Rex, who's weird, so I'm not going to consider him. Laguna, who is just a BSB. Tempest Sniping BSB. Cloud is just weird. So Reno, really. Reno and Prompto. She's just better than them. She's just risky, but better than them. I'm going to put her in S. And, because she has the potential of dealing, like, S-class damage easily. She's just risky. Glass cannon. Definitely not as good as lightning. As good as lightning with her, just with lightning's USB. Is she better than Orlando? Orlando's damage is tough to quantify. Probably not. No, I just remembered Orlando's Legend Dive. Yeah, risk can be played around. It's true. So basically what you would want to do in the fight is, you know, run a last stand or something. Last stand and maybe some strong single target heals. Realm BSB comes to mind. I kind of want to take Cloud off of these lists and just talk about him in the special consideration. Because he's not like Bart's, where Bart's has soul breaks for these elements. He's just, oh, I'm just going to use my USB and then I'm going to use an ability, whether that be Omega Drive or an element to exploit. Oh yeah, obviously Cloud would be on Wind, Dark, and Non-Elemental. I just think he is a little weird to feature here when I'm going to be talking about this capability of his in the special consideration. Well, Ricky, that makes a lot of sense, because Orlando's OSB has been popular for a long time, and Orlando's OSB shows up on the Orlando USB banner, so that's a really good banner, while Queen's USB didn't show up on a good banner. So it's obviously going to be more common. Ended up with a decent spread at least, and I feel like I like all of the ratings here.